Winspace Bikes is quite literally the first bike brand ever to support my YouTube channel nearly 4 years ago. 5 years ago is when I first started this YouTube channel. So what that means is for the first year of featuring and reviewing various bike products, I was investing and spending my own money to build up the channel. And at that time, I really didn't know where this channel was going to be headed. And so fast forward a year later into my journey on YouTube, someone at Winspace believed in my very small time channel enough to send me out the T1500 frame set, as well as a set of Winspace Hyper wheels. So I want to give a huge shout out and kudos to that individual who believed in me at Winspace. You know exactly who you are. And then so fast forward a couple years after that, I've had the opportunity to also test and review the Winspace SLC3 frame set. Now, that particular frame set at the time, according to Winspace, was supposed to more or less compete with the Tarmac SL7 and the SL8. It was a fantastic bike. It was stiff. It was very lightweight and agile. But personally, I felt that it was still more so their premier climbing bike versus their one bike to rule them all frame set. Now, we fast forward till current day here in 2025, Winspace has released their SLC version 5 frame set. And I believe that Winspace has finally got the right idea as far as designing this frame set to be less of a climbing specific bike and more in line with sort of that one bike to rule them all frame set. And so in this video, guys, we're going to be discussing some of the specs and details on this Winspace SLC frame set. I'm super excited to get this bike built up. Look at this color, guys. This color is absolutely fantastic. So we're going to get it weighed out. We're going to talk about my plans for the build, and we're also going to be discussing the fit and finish on this frame set. And of course, this frame set was sent to me from Winspace for testing and review, and my 10% off code should still work in lieu of, I believe it's probably like Black Friday or just the holiday season. So without further ado, let's begin. Okay, so as I mentioned in the introduction of this video, guys, this is Winspace's flagship do-it-all frame set. This is the Winspace SLC version 5. Now, you're probably wondering, why is there no SLC 4? Why did they go from the 3 to the 5? And based on my research, I believe the number 4 is bad luck in Far East culture, so that's why they skipped over to SLC 5. So as you can see, it's a little bit beefier, it's a little bit more aerodynamic visually compared to the SLC3, and this was Winspace's goal all along. Basically, they have their aero bikes with the the T1600 or 1550, I don't know, but this one to me really spoke to me because I think that this is going to finally be one of the frame sets from Winspace that can finally compete with the likes of the Tarmac. So the size I went with is a size extra large and XL versus a large, and the reason why I did that is because if you look at the geometry chart for this frame, it's a little bit all over the place, and just for my particular height and bike fit and reach, I kind of fell in between two different sizes. And being that I've finally built up so many bikes over the years, I kind of know where I need to be as far as the frame, stack, and reach, as well as the cockpit. So just keep in mind and pay very close attention to the sizing on this frame. Next up, let's talk about this color, guys. I mean, this color is fantastic. This is exactly the color I would want. It's going to match my Boomaye jersey, which I've been wearing for the last couple of years. But basically, it has this chameleon effect where depending on the angle of the light, depending on how you look at the frame, it'll basically kind of go from a bunch of different colors, from like magenta to orange to blue to a little bit of royal blue on the ends of it. So it's a fantastic color. I do believe that it is a limited edition color. Some of the other small details on here is, as you guys can see, we do have, based on the coloration on the bolts, that some of the hardware on here is titanium. So it's nice that Winspace is putting a little bit of thought and detail into presenting this bike, because I'm going to tell you guys, at the time of this video, the retail price on this is $2,800 USD, and that's before my discount code, as well as any sales from Winspace. Now, unfortunately, times have changed now, guys, in 2025. Long gone are the days where you can get these high-performing Far East brand frame sets for like $1,200 or $1,500 USD. That's just the way of the world. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it, guys. This is a very expensive frame, but nonetheless, that is what the price is. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. It's gonna be a bright, bright. Hey, shout out to Jimmy Cliff. And while that hit record is not on this particular LP, we still want to pay our respects to Jimmy, being that he recently passed away. So shout out to Jimmy. So anyway, Winspace SLC5 in a size extra large. And I would say the size XL is essentially a long-ish size 56, especially when you look at the geometry chart. So size extra large. Alrighty, so for size XL, we have 937 grams. And I believe this is actually the third lightest frame set that I've ever featured on this channel, just behind the Tarmac SL8 and the previous Winspace SLC3. We have the uncut fork, 367 grams, 367 grams for the uncut fork. And then finally, the seat post, including the saddle clamps, we have 161 grams. Not bad at all, guys, if I'm being honest, especially with this complex paint job. So let's continue. Now, some of the other details on this frame set that I really appreciate is, number one, is it's using a BSA bottom bracket. This is an interesting choice from Winspace, being that they tend to be on more the cutting edge of designing these frames. It's interesting that they went with a BSA threaded bottom bracket versus a T47. Now, for myself, I've been running BSA on a variety of different bikes, namely my Tarmac SL8. So I have all of the hardware that I need in order to run the BSA bottom bracket. The second detail that I appreciate that Winspace did has to do with the front end when it comes to the bearing design and philosophy. So Winspace, similar to their SLC3, they have opted to go with the FSA or full speed ahead, the ACR and the SMR style of routing. And what that means is, should you decide to opt out of using their own cockpit, which is something that I did, you'll still be able to run the bearings provided from Winspace. But what that means is that this style will open the door to use a variety of different third-party integrated cockpits and stems that specifically use that FSA ACR standard of routing the cable. So I do wish a lot of different other bike brands did this regardless of the price point. Now, next up, I want to talk about fit and finish when it comes to Winspace. So this will now be my either second or third frame set from Winspace. I believe this should be my third frame set, but the fit and finish on all of my frames from Winspace has been absolutely phenomenal. I mean, to the point that they compete one-to-one in terms of fit and finish with the Western brands, costing at least $1,000 more. So you figure for this frame set costing $2,800 as a retail, is basically coming in at around $1,000 less than the pro level of the Tarmac SL8. The fit and finish on this is absolutely fantastic. In fact, I did a dry run of threading in the BSA bottom bracket, and I was able to thread in both cups perfectly with no resistance all the way to the point where those cups are literally touching the frame set. So good job, Winspace, on that front. Another area where Winspace always does a fantastic job on the fit and finish has to do with the facing on the various caliper mounts. If you've been following my channel, at least for the last few months, you know that one of the headaches I've been having, especially with those frames costing like $600 or $700 USD, has to do with the lack of fit and finish in these critical areas. Having really nicely faced caliper mounts mean that you should be able to align the calipers to your rotors with no issues at all. It should really only take a couple of minutes. Next up, let's talk about my plans for this build. So I do have a couple of options. Of course, I can go with my tried and true Shimano Di2 12 speed, simply because I do want to be able to use this bike to run 2x, because this is going to be a longer term testing and review on this frame set. Some of the other frames that I have featured recently, I've been using for a few months, trying to really put them through their paces for those few months. But the reality is, for a frame like this, being that the quality, being that this is a color that I specifically selected, this is going to be a long time testing and review. The other option I can go with is I do also have the latest SRAM Force E1. I even have the matching rainbow color chain from the SRAM Force that would match all of this as well. But again, I think I'm probably just going to go with 2x Shimano. But let me know down in the comments what you think. Should I go with SRAM E1 or should I go with Shimano Ultegra Di2 12 speed? But all in all, guys, I'm thoroughly impressed, irrespective of the price, of just everything that Winspace is doing with this current frame. It seems like they're finally listening to customers. I think they are starting to understand that having a climbing specific frame set is probably not the way to go as we continue to make trends and movements back towards at least aero frames, or maybe even just the one bike to rule them all. And I think, in my opinion, I think that this bike is going to be a lot more popular than some of their other dedicated aero bikes. It's light. I want to say this is probably like the third lightest frame set that I have ever featured on this channel, along with the SLC version 3. The paint job is superb. The facings, the finishing, everything is superb. And this is exactly what I expect from a brand like Winspace, especially since they are charging $2,800. And that's why I'm really just so excited for this frame set. On this channel so far now, guys, being that it has been 5 years of me doing these videos, I have been fortunate enough to test and review the Giant Propel, the Tarmac SL8, the Scott Foil, the Specialized LA Sprint, the rim brake and the disc brake version, and a slew of other premium Chinese frames. And so we're going to see how close this is going to get to those premium Western brands. At the very least, I hope that it is at least as good as my beloved Tavelo Aero. So that's going to wrap up today's video, guys. Huge thank you to Winspace for supporting me over all these years. Be sure to use my code if you are interested in this frame set or set of wheels from Winspace. Questions, comments, and concerns, please feel free to leave them down below, and I will check you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for all of your support over these years. Peace.